So I've been getting a lot of questions recently on the Discord community, on YouTube, on Instagram and stuff like that, and I just wanted to make a dedicated video to try and answer some of the common questions that I get. Some of them are going to be technical, some of them are non-technical, so yeah, just stay tuned and hopefully you enjoy the video. All right, the first question I want to answer is my age. How old am I? I am 21 years old, turning 22 this November. But yeah, I don't know why, I just been getting a lot recently and I just wanted to get it out of the way. I'm 21 years old. I turned 22 this November. I graduated last December, so I was about 20 when I graduated, 21 actually when I graduated. But yeah. All right, the next question is related to the app I'm building. Someone asked, how's the app build going? And short answer, it's going pretty well. This video was just kind of a break for me to fill. In between 2 weeks, I usually post content about my app, how I'm building it and stuff like that. But this week, I wanted to slow down and focus more on the implementation and worry less about the recording. But yeah, it's been pretty well. It went from idea, V1 if you watched the earlier videos, it was just a super simple idea to pretty much a full-on app in my opinion right now. Over the span of, I guess, like a couple months, and I'm pretty proud of it. I do wish I did this last year. I started this last year. I think, honestly, the experience that I've got from this, if I had it last year, I'd have a lot more opportunities. I'd probably be a lot further today than I am currently. But yeah, I'm really glad that I took the time to actually put my ideas into work and try to build something with my spare time. The problems that I'm facing right now is just not enough time or energy to focus on this app, or at least not as much time as I want to. I'm trying to invest about 20 hours a week solely on this app build right now, but it's kind of hard when you have a full-time job, when you have a family to take care of, you have pets, and other responsibilities like trying to build a business and stuff like that. So I really do wish that I did this last year, but you know, it is what it is. The experience I'm getting right now is pretty sick, and on top of everything else, I do truly think this app, or I hope it's gonna help a lot of people. But yeah, the reason I started this whole app build in the first place, for those of you who don't know, is to help people like you and I, job seekers essentially, land our dream jobs or just jobs in general much easier, without having to deal with all the friction and, you know, unnecessary things like understanding what keywords to put on your resume and how to, you know, optimize specific sections of your resume and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess my goal for this app is to help remove all that nuance and all that, you know, brain power from you having to worry about it. Just, you know, have the app deal with that, and you can focus on actually picking the jobs that you like and that you think you'd be a good fit for, and upskilling yourself to actually be a better candidate overall. So, but yeah, that's how the app's going. I think over the past week we've grown a lot. A lot of people found the link. I think about 60 new users have signed up, and a lot of you guys are consistently adding applications, tracking new applications, and testing it out and stuff like that. So I appreciate y'all for doing that. I do want to do a public launch in the next few weeks, maybe months, but for right now, I'm very happy with the way it's going. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and nothing's broken yet. Nothing broke, so I'm pretty happy about that. The next question I want to talk about is, how do you manage your time? I don't. I'm kidding. These days, not as much as I used to. I don't really have to manage my time these days. It's a lot of just, you know, blocked work. Like in the morning, I try to focus on my personal stuff. Like the first thing I do every day is go for a run. And then if I do that, my day tends to be a lot better, and I can focus on stuff like my app, my YouTube channel, my business. And then from the hours of 9 to 5, usually sometimes even 8 to 6, I'll be focusing on heads down work for my job, and then after that I can focus on family time. But last year, for a period, I was working full-time while also being a student full-time, and during that period of time I really had to find out creative ways to manage my time. I had to actually try to maximize as many time blocks as I could in a day, and some of the methods I used was like cramming. I used to cram a lot of you know, nuanced work or I guess repetitive work in the morning or at night when I didn't really need much brain power. I used to also skip specific classes that I knew I just wasn't going to get any value from, so I could focus on getting deliverables done for work, or just, you know, working on YouTube content and stuff like that. But yeah, I personally just think everyone has 24 hours in a day. What truly matters is how you use it. I'm a very big advocate for, you know, maximizing your sleep. I think if you try to sacrifice sleep and then try to compensate that time with work, you're gonna see a downward trend of productivity. I personally try to, you know, maximize as much sleep as I can get. I listen to my body because I'm very active, so I try to sleep at least 8 hours a day. And I do notice that helps me a lot with mental clarity and just overall less lethargic feelings throughout the day. But yeah, aside from that 8 hour chunk of sleeping, I try to, you know, do stuff like running while writing down ideas for a video. I try to like clump a lot of things together, like I said, running and idea generation for videos, and even project ideation for stuff for work, and also like stuff for my personal life. And then during working hours, a lot of the stuff that I have to do is usually very detailed. In tickets, I try to do that the night before just so I don't forget the next day. Recently, I discovered this app on Macs. It's called Stickies, where I can just have sticky pads on my desktop so I can see what I need to do anytime. I have 2 monitors, so I always have a desktop open and I can always like see what I need to do. Also, sorry for my cat. I should probably introduce him. His name is Toothless. He is about 5 months now and he's very, very, very hyper. Yeah, essentially what I like to do is when I schedule heads down time, I don't want to be wasting time on figuring out what I need to do. So I like to schedule everything in advance. I like to have everything in detailed writing. So like for my app, for example, let's say today I find out that I need to fix 3 bugs. I write down everything I know about the bugs. And if I can, I try to write down the solution or my theory on how I can solve that problem. The next day I can try to implement that solution. And then if I do get a blocker, I do the same thing, write down what I discovered, document everything that I found, and try to brainstorm a couple solutions to implement the next day. I try to separate, ideation or thinking from actually implementing and coding, just because I feel like it's much more, I'm much more productive that way. I can actually separate the 2 tasks and focus on coding when I need to code, and actually thinking and brainstorming when I need to brainstorm and think. So yeah, aside from task clumping or multitasking and getting enough sleep, I also try to take a lot of short breaks. These days, I work a lot from my room, and I have this standing desk, but I also live right across the gym, so I can go for a walk if I need to. I can go play with my cats outside, or I could just chill, read a book, whatever. And I think that truly helps out. It's not about, I truly feel it's not as much about how much time you have. It's more so about the energy you have and how much energy you can truly spend focusing on a task. But yeah, I truly think the more time you can spend in those periods where you're just fully focused, not distracted, it's gonna lead to more results. It's more outcome focused than it is if you focus on allocating 6 hours a day doing a specific task, or at least that's how it works for me. So try to focus on the outcome less and less on the time, or at least that's what I do. If you're getting started, it's definitely important to set specific time blocks and get disciplined in actually committing to those time blocks. Maybe it's 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, Pomodoro technique, whatever it may be. But after you get seasoned, after you've been doing the same thing over and over again, I think how much energy you spent instead of how much time is more important. All right, the next question I want to talk about is, what are your thoughts on the current job market? This is a pretty deep question, if you ask me. I have a lot of friends and family members who are currently actively job searching, which is one of the reasons why I'm trying to get this app out and ready very quickly, just because I know a lot of people could benefit from it, but I also know a lot of people right now are struggling with the job market just because of things like ghost jobs or just insane expectations from recruiters or hiring managers or companies in general. So it's not great, and I get to see things from both perspectives, because one, I work at a company where we're actively recruiting, and I get to see the expectations. I get to talk about the expectations. For example, one of the roles we've been hiring for has been open since January, so 9-10 months now, almost 10 months. And it's pretty crazy just because we've had a couple great candidates, but we've also had majority of the candidates be not so great. We've had a lot of underqualified candidates. We have had a lot of fake candidates. We've also had job postings where we've opened it and then went through the interview process and then later on decided, we don't need this position anymore. So yeah, I do see it from both sides, from the recruiting side and also from the job seeker side. But I just think it is what it is. That's the way the market is right now. Obviously, ideally, we don't want any ghost job postings and stuff like that. But one thing I do think is great about the current market is the amount of noise you're getting, the amount of feedback you're getting from job seekers who are trying to actively get a job and talking about their feedback and or talking about their experiences and giving feedback so that you can learn from their experiences. But yeah, these days, some of my advice to people who are looking to get a job is to, one, don't apply for hundreds of jobs. Don't just go blindly apply on LinkedIn with the easy apply or whatever that button may be in other platforms. Just try to find applications that you're closely aligned with. And secondly, apply to jobs that are more recent. Don't apply to jobs that have been open for months. Don't apply to jobs that have over 1,000 applicants, try to apply for jobs, or at least this is my recommendation. Try to apply for jobs that have been posted within 24 hours on LinkedIn. There's a filter that you can use to filter for jobs that are, freshly posted. If you don't want to do on-site jobs, don't hit the on-site button. Only apply for jobs that you're comfortable with, like hybrid or remote. A lot of these companies tend to automatically filter you out if your location isn't within the specific location they're looking for. So don't save yourself some burden there, save yourself some trouble there, save yourself some rejection there. And some other things that I would look at is referrals, actively looking for referrals. A lot of people find, networking as troubling or burdening the other party just because it feels like you're asking for something with nothing in return. And I get that, I truly do. But from my side, from my perspective as a recruiter or as someone working at a company who tends to get a lot of these messages from people asking for a referral, some companies, or at least most companies that I know of, have this referral compensation structure where if you refer a candidate successfully, as in they get a offer or they go up the ranks and actually make it to the final stage, they might get compensated for it. So it's a win-win technically. It depends on the company, but I don't see any loss with asking someone to refer you. Obviously, don't start off your conversation to a stranger with, hey, could you refer me for job X? I would probably start off by trying to get their take on your resume or your experience. Like, just come to them as a peer, maybe highlight some of the stuff on their profile that you found interesting. A lot of people love talking about themselves, so if you can get them to do that to you, that would be a great icebreaker. And then slowly from there, share your interest in the job that is open in that company or whatever that may be, and then maybe even get a referral from there. So referrals, applying to jobs that are fresh, and also trying to apply to jobs that are closely, if not 100% aligned with your skill set. I know it's not easy, but that will filter out a lot of the rejection that you're going to be facing. And I do get this question a lot too. How can I get experience if I have none? And I think right now it's very hard for you to get professional experience if you aren't seasoned, if you don't have over 2 years of experience. So some of the ways that I recommend getting experience, some of the ways that I'm getting experience right now is through projects. And if you think about it, this is my mindset at least. If you think about it, a lot of the companies that you see right now, like Uber, DoorDash, all these companies, Airbnb, they were all projects to begin with. They all started somewhere and then it just scaled from there. So if you have a project that can be qualified as experience, by that I mean it's big enough to justify experience level bullet points, then go for it. Just make it an experience instead of a project. Obviously, don't lie in your resume. I do not recommend anyone lying on your resume just because you will get caught. But experience is so subjective to the point where if you start your own company, you can make a company on LinkedIn, you can make an LLC, you could be the CEO, you could be the data scientist, you could be the software engineer. If you're capable of doing those things, if you're capable of building a website, if you're capable of building machine learning models, deploying it, then why not, right? That's considered experience. But the thing is, most people don't, like if you notice, projects don't really last that long. It's usually a couple weeks and a month at most. Not many projects go over that time period. But if you can stick with a project for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that's considered experience to me. If you can maintain that project for that long and ensure that it's up to standards, you're learning new things, you're improving it, you're adding features and stuff like that, to me, that's considered experience. And if that experience aligns with something a company is looking for, that's the same as any other experience you would get from volunteering or working at some other company. Just because you're doing it yourself, I think that shouldn't hinder your growth. My mentor once told me the worst thing you can do for yourself is capping your growth to an external source, which means allowing your growth to only grow with the company or allowing your growth to only grow with the school, whatever it may be. You never want to put yourself in that situation. You always want to make sure that you are the core component for your growth. So me personally, I try to grow as much as I can with my company, but yeah, at the end of the day, you can always grow faster than your company. It just depends on how much effort, how much energy you're willing to put in your self-growth. All right, now let's move into some technical questions. The first one I want to talk about is how important is cloud technologies in this day and age, and how do you learn them? And for context, they're referring to cloud technologies like Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, and stuff like that. Short answer is very important, especially if you're looking for a tech job. I think every role that I can think of right now, except maybe a data analyst role, even then probably requires some sort of experience with cloud. Personally, my job as a data scientist involves a lot of MLOps, a lot of data architecture, data infrastructure, data engineering, which obviously depends on the cloud, especially if you're involving big data. So yeah, I have to use AWS a lot. We use AWS for work. I use AWS for my app. Some of the things I use is AWS S3, AWS EC2, SageMaker, you know, understanding how IAM roles work. And if all this sounds intimidating to you, don't worry, it did for me too, but it's really not that complicated. Yeah, it is really important, and whether you choose Google Cloud, whether you choose Azure, whether you choose AWS, it doesn't really matter. I don't think it's that different. It's more so about what access you have to these tools. I know AWS provides a free tier, I think. That's what I've been using to learn. So yeah, I would recommend starting there. Most of the stuff there, it's pretty much stuff we might already know. It's just the names they use that might trick you. Like AWS S3, for example, I see it like a bucket or a folder system where you store data in different folders and different hierarchies and stuff like that. And then EC2, it's essentially like renting a new computer to host stuff. Or IAM roles is essentially like your computer, like your Mac or Windows computer, you can create multiple profiles with different permissions, like a parent permission or an admin permission, where you can have all access to all, you know, all things in your computer, or like a child permissions where you get restricted access to specific tools and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really, I mean, it is hard. It's not as easy as I'm making it out to be, but it's definitely not as intimidating as I thought initially. And it's definitely super, super important if you want to break into the field of tech. So yeah, I definitely recommend starting off with maybe just some basic YouTube videos. That's what I did. And then from there, you can try to find organized courses on Udemy or Coursera that teach it. I think I took a course on Udemy. But the best thing you can do is actually try to use it hands-on. So hands-on application with AWS is what I found to be most helpful. All right, the next question I want to answer is more so related to data science, machine learning. It's kind of random, but I got it recently and I thought it was pretty interesting. It's about what model should I use for a specific situation. And that's very hard to answer, I think, without the context, but I'll try my best to answer it here. I do think machine learning in of itself is a very, very, very difficult field to get into, especially if you don't have a fundamental understanding of data. So I would start there. You have to understand your data, the data you work with. Maybe the domain knowledge that you have might help. Like if you're working for a logistics company and you have supply demand data that you need to work with, there's a lot of forecasting you could do. There's a lot of like churn, retention forecasting you could do. There's a lot of clustering you could do and stuff like that. But it depends on the problem. I kind of have like a cheat sheet that I use. I don't have it written down, but I have it in my brain of what models I would use in which scenarios, what models I would use in which circumstances, just because I have experiences with these models and I know how they tend to perform for specific like data sets, specific distributions and specific problems. So like I know certain models will overfit for these situations, so I tend to avoid them. But yeah, a good way to generalize this is to determine the business ask, try to understand if it's a classification or regression problem, or maybe it's a clustering problem. And then from there, you filter down the models that you can use depending on the data you have. Ideally, you want to have a simple model if that's possible, but if it's not possible, then you have to go up in terms of complexity. Generally, a lot of models tend to do well with specific data sets, so it's kind of easy if you understand what your data set or your data structure looks like, what type of distribution you're looking at, how many variables you're looking at, is it balanced or unbalanced, and if it's unbalanced, how can you balance it out, or maybe just use an ensemble model, like a tree-based model like random forest or XGBoost. Those tend to have ways within it that it can, restructure or rebalance your data. But yeah, the goal here is to go as simple as possible. You don't need a black box or a neural network to be used for every single circumstance. Honestly, I try to avoid neural networks unless I really have to use them, just because a big part of my job is actually explaining my insights or my findings to stakeholders, and it's very hard to explain what findings you get from a neural network or black box algorithms or models. So yeah, I think it definitely depends on the problem you're trying to solve, but I do tend to lean more towards the simpler models if I can, like linear and logistic regression, depending on your data type, if it's linear or nonlinear, or your ensemble models like your random forest, XGBoost, or for clustering problems, k-means clustering, or even PCA. But yeah, maybe I'll make a separate video entirely talking about my machine learning workflow, my cheat sheet, starting from collection or understanding the business ask, and then cleaning, processing, feature engineering, model tuning, model selection, stuff like that. So yeah, leave a comment down below if that's something you want to see. I do think it might be beneficial to a lot of you, since a lot of you are interested in machine learning and data science. So yeah, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. All right, the last question I want to answer in this video is, what is the tech stack that I'm using to build this app? it started off with just Python, a Python script with Flask, and I hosted it on Python Anywhere. But then from there, I scaled it, pivoted to Next.js. So it's using TypeScript and also Node.js, hosted on Vercel. I'm using S3 and Supabase for authentication, and also my database and S3 buckets to store PDFs, images, stuff like that, and using sign URLs for the user to actually access and view those images, docs, and stuff like that. But yeah, aside from that, I'm also using LLMs like OpenAI and LangChain to give you guys feedback and insights on your resume and what you can improve on. But yeah, it's been pretty nice building this. I use Stripe for payment processing, and I don't think I'm missing anything else out aside from SMTP, which I haven't really set up just yet. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. I do plan, or I do want to add Python into the back end of this app, just because right now it's just pure Next.js, and I would think that Python could be beneficial, especially since I'm very familiar with using Python for machine learning. But hosting that would be a whole nother battle in of itself. Right now, my focus is just optimizing what I can with what I have, and then getting this to a stage where I feel comfortable promoting it and stuff like that. Because right now I'm just doing it for internal users like myself, my family members, beta testers who signed up with the link down in the description box below, and also to eventually launch publicly when I do think it's in a stage where other people can find value from it and other people can use it without any complaints and stuff like that. So, but yeah, what I'm focusing on right now is the master resume section of the app. It's essentially a place where you can dump all your experience, all your skills, everything you've done for work, for projects, for school, and stuff like that into our database. And then from there, we can use that experience, skills, whatever, to help you build the best resume you can for that specific job posting with just a click of a button. Right now, I've pretty much done the master resume where you can upload all that data, or create a master resume where you can dump all that data into our database, but I haven't really done the refactoring part. It's going to be very hard because I have to deal with like PDF formatters, or at least it's going to be hard for me just because I've never done it before. But yeah, I'm excited to get there. I'm excited to incorporate some of that technology into my app and also improve my capabilities with stuff like that. So yeah, looking forward to it. Also, speaking of resumes, one of the videos I've planned for later on this year is a resume review video where I review some of your resumes. Thank you to those of you who have sent your resumes on Discord and also through my email. I appreciate it. I'll black out all your personal information. But yeah, I do hope sharing that sharing that video, sharing that insight will help some of you guys understand what people like me, recruiters or hiring managers, look for when they're looking at data science resumes, tech resumes, and stuff like that. And how you can maximize, what experience you have. If you don't have professional experience relevant to your industry, how you can use projects or how you can use other things to make it look more enticing to a recruiter or a hiring manager. So yeah, if you're excited for that video, let me know down in the comment section below. If you want to be part of that video, go ahead and send me your resume via Discord. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. Yeah, I am excited for that. I do think it's going to be beneficial. I do think it's going to be helpful for a lot of you guys, especially since I get that question a lot. A lot of people tend to want me to review their resume. So I think hopefully putting it in a video and sharing it to other people will help dump all that information at one spot and make it accessible to a lot of people. So that's my goal. But yeah, that's about it for this video. I know it was slightly different from our past few videos just because I needed a small break from that fast-paced content, especially about the app. I want to focus on the actual implementation of the app, and I have a lot of updates that I hope to share with you guys next week. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do consider leaving a like down below, and a subscribe would help the channel out a lot. I'll see you in the next one.